Hello everybody. In 2008, there was a startup named Foodie Bay, and Foodie Bay was primarily into restaurant discovery, right? As a customer, you can go find out what are the restaurants in that city. Slowly, it moved into restaurant listing space, that listing almost every single restaurant in the city. In 2010, it changed its name from Foodie Bay because it thought that, hey, we might not be just in the food space going forward, we might be in a much broader segment, so let's change the name. And they changed the name to Zomato. That's the Zomato that you and I know right now. Until 2015, Zomato was into restaurant discovery, restaurant listings, and restaurant bookings as well. And only in 2015, it moved into the food delivery space. If you look at the recent quarterly report, you will see that 75% of its revenues are coming from food delivery, 10% of its revenue are coming from deliveries to restaurants, the essential ingredients, the vegetables to cook meals, and finally 10% coming from its recent acquisition, Blinkit, and remaining 5% from other sources. Now the question is, can Zomato achieve profitability in the next 2 to 4 quarters as they are promising? And before we jump into any kind of conclusions, let's just first understand how Zomato and Swiggy are different from each other and how they are competing and who can win the race as well, right? A fun fact, while Zomato started as a food discovery or a restaurant discovery platform, Swiggy started as a delivery platform itself. In 2013, before even Swiggy got started, their founders, Sriharsha and Nandan, both these guys have started a courier and shipments delivery platform. And it did not work out well. Then they moved into food delivery place, Swiggy, in 2014. Now, you can see that the origins of both these companies are very different. While one started in the food space, the other started in the delivery space. Now, both are in the food delivery space, right? However, now, if you look at the recent revenues coming in from Swiggy, they are much more diversified than Zomato because they have revenues coming from food delivery, they have revenues coming from Instamart, that is their quick grocery delivery service. Then they have revenues coming from Swiggy Genie, which is their packaging delivery service, doesn't have to do with food at all. And finally, they also have revenues coming from Swiggy Dine Out, the restaurant booking platform, which they opened recently. Now, if you look at Zomato versus Swiggy, the differences are pretty stark, right? Swiggy, almost 85% of its revenue is dependent on restaurants, whereas Swiggy is diversifying a bit more, much quicker. And hence, Zomato has gone and acquired Blinkit so that its base also gets diversified at the earliest possible. Now, before we jump into the acquisition and before we jump into the space, let's first understand what are the economics behind this food delivery. You and me as a customer, we have a particular order, right? There is something called as an average order value. In India, this average order value is at least 6 times lower than the average order value outside of India and majorly in the Western countries. The second thing, right, is the restaurant commissions. Swiggy and Zomato almost take 30% commission on these low order values itself, right? So restaurants are not ready to give any more commissions to these platforms. And the third bucket in this scenario is the delivery partners. The delivery partners' work is primarily concentrated in 2 buckets. Number 1, during the lunch peak hour, and number 2 is during the dinner peak hour. And rest of the times, these delivery executives are not even utilized properly according to these companies. And hence, they want to make sure that they are having deliveries at the other time slots that are available in the day. And hence, Swiggy's Instamart and Swiggy's Genie, which are much more random and spread out throughout the day, makes a lot more sense for Swiggy. And hence, Zomato also got into the space where it can utilize its delivery partner network to a much better, efficient way, right? And hence, Blinkit acquisition makes a lot of sense for Zomato. The second reason why Blinkit acquisition also makes sense is the market size itself. The market is expected to reach $25 billion, the quick grocery delivery market, while the food market is expected to reach only half of that by 2025. Right? So a growing market with a better utilization of its existing employee network. It doesn't need to even go and get more employees into the platform. The delivery network is already there, right? So both these things together is definitely a good value proposition for Zomato. However, the overall investor sentiment was negative when Zomato acquired Blinkit. Why? Because Blinkit is a loss-making company and Zomato is also a loss-making company, by the way. Now, if you add one loss-making company on the other, the path to profitability would take longer, right? It would even take a few more quarters to get to that profitability. And hence, being a public company, Zomato's investors were against the idea of pushing the profitability by few more quarters, and hence the negative reaction. But according to Zomato, and I also am starting to believe that Blinkit acquisition was a necessity for them. It was not a luxury that they could afford to miss, right? What do you think? The path to profitability might take few more quarters, if not 2 to 4 quarters. It might take 4 to 8 quarters, but this is important for them because almost all the big players are now entering into this space. But Zomato already has an advantage that people open Zomato app on a regular basis, while the other players do not have that kind of advantage. Except Zomato and Swiggy, not many other players have that kind of advantage, right? Hence, Zomato is already well positioned. Hopefully, they'll leverage on this acquisition in the best possible way and they'll beat the market. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, guys. But please do let me know your thoughts in the comments box. Highly interested to read them. Take care. Bye-bye.